Being live streamed. We got it. Let me go find my face. Here I am. That's Caroline Riley, everybody. She wants to know what we're going to have for dinner on Friday. Welcome to Monday Mojo, everybody. Welcome to Monday Mojo. My name is Adam Roach. The I Love Coaching Company International Headquarters. We're right here in Charleston, and we're going to come to you live today, Monday Mojo. So we've got a screen here. We've got a camera going there. We're live on YouTube. What are we talking about this month? What are we doing this month? This month is all sales based. Here at the I Love Coaching headquarters, we have themed months. Last month was health and wellness. This month is all based on sales. Sales. So I wanted to go into a conversation today for Monday Mojo with, by the way, this is kind of fun going back and forth between that camera and that camera. I don't know what that camera is recording or where it's recording, but it's kind of fun. We're going to talk about objections. We're talking about objections. When you get an objection from anybody, anywhere, anytime, what happens? What should you do? Where should you go mentally? Where should you go with your language? So on and so forth. So let's talk about what is an objection. I'm going to speak from experience with myself. An objection is someone telling me that they're not clear on what specifically you're offering. That's where I go. Secondly, where I go is I haven't connected with that person emotionally enough for them to see that making the decision of whatever I'm offering is going to take them into, watch this, a positive future. Or I haven't painted the picture strong enough that their positive or their negative future isn't going to be that negative because I haven't done a good job. And so they're saying no to whatever I'm offering. Okay, that's an objection. Objection to me also means no, not right now. Okay, it's a timing thing. So we have to be aware when we're in the space of sales and we get an objection. Step one, let's go over, I think, 3 to 4 steps here of how to work with an objection. When you get an objection, you're going to affirm the objection first. So if we're in the real estate space and let's say we're recruiting, or let's say that we are at a listing table, or if you're an entrepreneur and you're at the sales space and someone says, I'm just not that interested. We have to go into number one, affirming what they said. And how do we do that? We have to pretty much repeat what they say back to them. Remember, mirroring and matching people's language, body language, tonality in their voice is a connection piece. My mentor, John Maxwell, says it in one of his books. Everyone can communicate and few can connect. Even in the objection space, you can still be connecting with someone. So when someone says, no, not right now, what I would reply back to them and say, I can appreciate now is not the right time. Pause. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to connect with them based on their language right there. And then though we want to take it to the next step. And the next step is step number 2, not just accepting what they say, but go a little bit deeper into curiosity. So step number 1 is affirming. Step number 2 is curiosity. So what specifically are you not interested in right now? Right? So we want to take this big macro language that they just use, and we want to get narrow in our focus and our language back to them. Again, we're handling objections here. So number 1, we affirm. Number 2, we go into a deeper curiosity. Now, what could they say right there? They could potentially say something like, I'm not interested in the product you have, or I'm not interested in this, that, or the other. They could also say something like, I'm just not interested in meeting with you anymore. Whatever it is, it doesn't really matter, because here's what I want you to say. I can appreciate that. Again, we're going back to the top. We're affirming what they say. Now, you have to stay in a mental space here of, you might get beat up with objections. You might get beat up. Though if your desire for the end result is strong enough, you're going to keep going. You're going to keep going. You're going to keep going. You're going to keep asking questions. You're going to keep a smile on your face and not take any of this personal. Now, if they come back to you and say, listen, I don't want to continue going forward because I think you're a slime ball and I don't think you're very, no, they're not going to say that. Though Some of us feel as that's what they're saying when we get an objection. And I want to help you dispel the myth that an objection is not bad. It's just lack of clarity. Okay, so step number one, we affirm what they say. Step number two, we're going to go even deeper. And step number three, I want you to remember the gaps that you created in the beginning of whatever conversation you were having with them, right? Why are you meeting with this person? What product are you attempting to sell? What product or solution are you trying to provide with them? You've got to remember the gap that you started with or they gave you in the conversation to bring that back here in handling the objection. So for example, I'll stay in the real estate space as I was a real estate recruiter for a long period of time. And when someone would say to me, Adam, now is just not the right time. I can appreciate now is not the right time. Step number one, affirm. Step number two, we're going to go into curiosity. What specific time would be the right time for you? They will answer the question. And in step number three, we're going to go into bringing back their negative future, which is a gap, and we're going to bring it into the present. So what I heard you say about 30 minutes ago was that you're not generating enough leads, or that your environment's not the right space for you, or your leadership isn't moving you in the right direction. Curious, saying curiosity again, what's that going to feel like as you go back into that environment if now is not the right time? Right? Put them back into a negative future. You've got to be willing to ask some tough questions here when you're handling objections. Because again, if you just take it for surface level base, you're going to get that. You're going to walk away confused, not knowing exactly how to narrow down what specifically they're saying no to. So if we go back to that, we put them back into now a negative future based on what they gave you as it relates to data, they're going to be right there with you. You're connecting with them through their objection. Okay, pause, break, take a drink of water first. Let's pause. What are you hearing? What are you thinking? What are you seeing? Because objection handling should be a contact sport, right? You should really want to handle these objections because again, they're fun. They're telling you something right now that they're giving you data about as to why or what specifically is causing them not to move forward with you. All right, so there's logical stuff. Now let's go into the emotional aspect. How many people have sat at a table and someone has said, gosh, all of that sounds amazing. It just doesn't feel right. It just doesn't feel right. That's an objection. It just doesn't feel right. What did you hear there in that moment? What you should hear is that you did not do a good job of connecting with them emotionally. Remember, as I said in step number three, we're going to bring back the gap into their present, which is the negative future gap. If someone says that they don't feel it, or whatever it is, listen to those words. We have to understand what specifically does the word feel mean to them. And we're going to ask questions, we're going to dive deep, and we're going to bring in the emotion into the conversation. By the way, how does my head look going back and forth? I feel like I'm watching a tennis match, going from one camera to this camera to that camera. Okay, so objections are fun. Objections are a contact sport, and I want you to be willing to stay in the contact sport as long as you can without pushing them over the edge. Is there that option of pushing them over the edge? Sure, there's always the option. Remember, you're in the relationship building space in any type of sales world. So your job at the end is to leave them in a good feeling about you. Timing may not be right now, though Mr. or Mrs. Buyer or seller, Mr. or Mrs. being recruited, I'm going to become your biggest cheerleader and I'm going to stay in connection with you. Is that okay? And of course, they're going to say yes. So I want you to take away from this today that knowing that objection handling is a contact sport and you have to be willing to, number one, affirm, number two, dive deep into questions, and number three, bring their gap from their negativity, if you will, of why they're not growing into the present and show them that. And then I guess number four is leave with a smile on your face, leave with setting expectations that you're going to follow up with them afterwards. Okay. That's objection handling. We will be back next Monday with another sales piece. And by the way, stay tuned for the I Love Coaching podcast because this month is going to be all about our sales world, right? I'm going to have guests on there in this sales space. Oh, and lastly, hey, I want you to check this out. We haven't launched this yet. So this is kind of hush, hush, secret stuff. We are launching a multifamily investing syndication class. Yes. One of my good friends, Mr. Jonathan Wells, is going to be teaching a 6-week class course on how to invest in syndication deals with multifamily. So I want you to go to masteryofmultifamily.com, and go register for that. You'll be seeing a lot more information come out about that here coming up. Okay, that's all I have for you. Masteryofmultifamily.com, and we will see you next week on Monday.